Welcome to Packed With Flavour, where we open up a booster pack and take a look at all the flavour goodness that's inside. Today we're going to be opening up a pack of Ultimate Masters. Considered by many to truly be the Ultimate Masters set, these boosters contained not only much needed reprints and value, but also 50 new artworks and 22 new flavour texts, offering up a whole heap of fresh flavour. It's also worth noting that each booster has a guaranteed token and foil, and has the order of rarity reversed in the pack. The art director for this set was Cynthia Shepherd. Let's get cracking. First up, our token for the pack is a Tutu Zombie, art by Anna Steinbauer. Originally printed as one of 3 Tutu Zombie tokens in Eldritch Moon, Steinbauer ramps up the eerie presence of this zombie by using a monochromatic colour palette, save only for the zombie's purple glowing eyes, potentially denoting the influence of Necromancer Planeswalker Liliana. Also, if you look closely, you can see not only more walking corpses in the background, but also the tentacles of the Eldrazi Titan Emrakul, foreshadowing Innistrad's fate. Our foil for the pack is Just the Wind, art by Christopher Moeller. Another card from Shadows over Innistrad block, the entire theme of Shadows over Innistrad set was one of paranoia and insanity, brought on by the new Eldrazi presence on the plane. Just the Wind is one of several pieces that uses the motif of surreal eldritch eyes incorporated into the piece, this time on the curtains of the open window. This highlights not only the abstract nature of Innistrad's inhabitants slowly losing their minds, but also the real and ever-watching threat of Emrakul. Tomb of Yawgmoth, art by Young Park. An entirely new art for this iconic card, Young has depicted a more literal monument to the fallen Phyrexian god, as opposed to John Avon's original art, which showed Volrath's stronghold on an Urborg volcano. The piece pays homage to its Phyrexian inspiration, with streams of oil pouring from the structure, and at its centre a mask of Yawgmoth, reminiscent of the expansion symbol for Invasion block. Kitchen Finks, art by Kev Walker. The flavour text here should tell you all you need to know about the oofs of the multiverse. Whilst they may help you out by doing your dishes, as the oof in the background of the piece is doing, they may also, helpfully, make space in your larder by alleviating it of all food and drink. Walker's piece also does a fantastic job of using shadow and dark tones to place this otherwise whimsical scene firmly in its original Shadowmoor setting. Golgari Charm, art by Zoltan Boros. The 3 modes on this card are a perfect encapsulation of what the Golgari Swarm of Ravnica hold true. All living things wither and die. You cannot hide from the natural order of things behind magical wards, and that from death springs new life. Boneyard Worm, art by Jamie Jones. Jones is often commissioned to illustrate the hulking beasts and titans of the multiverse, and he is a master of exaggerating the mass of his creatures by having the viewer at a low angle looking up. But what you notice in a lot of Jones's work is that the real detail is often in the lower parts of the picture. As you stare up at the worm here, for example, you would be forgiven for missing the floor of bones that the creature rests on, a detail you may have wished you'd never noticed. Frantic Search, art by Mitchell Malloy. After much studying of this artwork, the Magic community has settled on at least 13 references to other cards hidden in this piece. Whilst I don't have time to run through all of them, I'll give you 3. The book the student is holding is a reference to Book of Ras. The spherical object in the bottom left is an icy manipulator, and the bird is a reference to Artificer's Assistant, which is itself a reference to Thieving Magpie. Satyr Wayfinder, art by Steve Prescott. Whilst Prescott is often known for his comic book art style, full of exaggerated forms and sharp line work, he often employs a much softer and more blended look to his pieces. In fact, compared to many other Throsian satyr depicted in Magic, with their passion-fueled revels and unstoppable energy, this character seems almost stoic and resolved in his mission for a new revel site. Perhaps a comment on that satyrs take the business of partying very seriously indeed. Just the Wind makes its second appearance in this booster pack. The Madness mechanic is another flavourful signifier to the mental state of Innistrad during our latest trip there. The mechanic works by giving you a payoff for casting your card after discarding it, usually a more aggressive mana cost. As your hand and your library are often treated in a flavour context to be a representation of your mind and thoughts, the encouragement to destroy your own mind for extra power echoes the sinister whispers from the blind eternities, corrupting the denizens of Innistrad. Moan of the Unhallowed, art by Nils Ham. Whilst many zombie creatures have the ability to either be cast from or have an effect when in the graveyard, this black sorcery uses the flashback mechanic much to the same effect, creating your unstoppable horde of zombies even from the graveyard. In general, zombies are one of the most flavourful tribes in Magic, utilising token strategies and graveyard synergies to form an unrelenting mass of corpses, slowly and inexorably marching on. Miming Slime, art by Svetlin Velenov. The flavour text is quoted to Milana Orzhov Prelate. This character, that has only ever appeared on flavour text, is quoted on a whopping 7 different cards across the last 2 Ravnica blocks. Each quote gives you a deep and often nuanced insight into the minds of the Orzhov Syndicate, and their relationship to the other guilds of Ravnica, or, as seen on this card, to the treatment of their own members. Unholy Hunger, art by Luis Lasahido. The flavour text highlights Liliana's dislike of angels, and we can see this echoed on several other cards across Magic's history. Angels are native to her adopted home plane of Innistrad, but her rivalry with them first occurred here on her original home plane of Dominaria. As we can see in this art, the prominent angel, Archangel of Tithes, is being beset by Liliana's zombies. If we look closely at the Archangel's own card art, we can see that it was in fact the original wearer of the Planeswalker's signature headdress, denoting this card from Magic Origins as a pivotal moment in Liliana's story. Bloodflow Connoisseur, art by Slavomir Maniak. The flavour text reads, "Death not for survival, but for vanity and pleasure. This is the decadence I sought to curb." Sorin Markov. The vampire planeswalker Sorin Markov is often viewed with fear amongst the inhabitants of his home plane Innistrad, but unbeknownst to most, he is responsible for creating its once greatest protector, Archangel Avacyn. He did this in an effort to balance the power struggle between the humans and the creatures of the night, most notably his fellow vampires, who, much like the connoisseur here, were killing humans for sport as well as sustenance. This was, perhaps predictably, viewed as a betrayal amongst his own kind, and despite his being a descendant of Edgar Markov, the progenitor of vampires on the plane, he is forever shunned by his people. Wandering Champion, art by William Marai. The composition of this piece is all about velocity. The forward momentum of the glow from the monk's kick, coupled with the curvature of the Sultai zombie's body, give the impression of a heavy impact. And whilst we're level with the figures, the background is at a Dutch angle, giving the scene a sense of dynamic movement. The same energy is used by Marai in a majority of their commissions for Magic, many of them depicting warriors in mid-battle. Molten Birth, art by Jamie Jones. Red cards are some of the best at introducing real-world tasks for players to complete at the table, often with an element of chance. Coin flip mechanics are some of the most popular and versatile. As the flavour text suggests, consistently creating elementals is difficult, and so to express this the player must overcome real-world odds to keep their token strategy. And lastly, we have Turn to Mist, art by Greg Staples. Staples has been one of Magic's longest-serving artists, at time of recording having illustrated for the game since Urza's Saga to Theros Beyond Death. This particular card's flavour text quotes the character of Ulka, Mist Meadow Witch. The only other card to reference this character was another Staples art card in the same set Shadowmoor, simply entitled Mist Meadow Witch. And that's the pack. Like core sets, master sets are able to give us a slice of many different planes. However, it just so happens that this booster offered an impressive 6 cards from the plane Innistrad. Also, not going to lie, the Urborg is a welcome addition to my own personal collection. Comment below what your favourite flavour pick was from the pack, and let me know what other cards from the set got your Vorthos juices flowing. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Make sure you also check out our full-length podcast, Magic the Flavouring, for all things Magic flavour, design and lore. You can also follow us on Twitter at MTFlavouring. Thanks for watching, we'll see you next time.